Emeka's heart pounded as he stood outside Chike's small village hut, his eyes betraying a flicker of unease. "I had a dream about your wife. She is trying to kill you. She has been putting poison in your meal," he said, his voice trembling. Chike's eyes widened in shock. The stillness of the night seemed to intensify as he processed Emeka's words. The familiar sounds of the village, the distant chatter of neighbors, the rustling of leaves, and the occasional cry of a night bird, felt surreal. Inside the hut, the flickering light of the oil lamp cast long, eerie shadows on the mud walls. Chike's mind raced. Neka, the love of his life, his partner through thick and thin, stood accused of the unthinkable. His eyes filled with confusion and disbelief as he looked at Emeka, his best friend since childhood. Emeka's expression was one of deep concern, his brows furrowed with worry. "Emeka, what are you saying?" Chike whispered, his voice barely audible over the night sounds. His body felt weak, a stark contrast to the vibrant, strong man he had been just weeks ago. "Neka has been taking care of me. She wouldn't do such a thing." "I know it sounds crazy," Emeka said, his eyes pleading for understanding. He sat down on a wooden stool and leaned closer, lowering his voice as if to shield their conversation from unseen ears. "But I couldn't ignore the dream. It was so vivid. I saw her, Chike. I saw her pouring something into your food. You need to be careful." Chike closed his eyes, trying to reconcile the image of his loving wife with Emeka's alarming claim. The memories of their life together flashed before him, their wedding day, the joy of their early years, the sorrow of their childlessness, and the countless meals they shared in quiet companionship. Neka had always been there for him, through every high and low. Could she really be capable of such betrayal? As Chike lay back on his bed, the past week's events came flooding back. The mysterious stomach pains, the sudden bouts of dizziness, and the relentless weakness that had finally confined him to his hut. It all seemed like a bad dream, but the pain was all too real. 1 week ago. It was a sweltering afternoon in the village, the sun beating down mercilessly on the dusty roads and thatched roofs. Chike was at home, resting on the bed in the small hut he shared with Neka. He had been feeling unwell for days, but this pain was different, sharp, debilitating, and unlike anything he had experienced before. As he clutched his stomach, beads of sweat forming on his forehead, he realized he needed help. With a trembling hand, he reached for his phone and dialed Emeka's number. The phone rang for what felt like an eternity before Emeka's familiar voice answered. "Chike, are you okay?" Emeka asked, immediately sensing the urgency. "Emeka, help me," Chike croaked, his voice barely a whisper. The pain was unbearable, radiating through his abdomen and making it hard to think straight. Before Emeka could respond, Chike's world went black as he fainted, the phone slipping from his grasp. When Chike regained consciousness, he was lying on a mat, surrounded by the concerned faces of his neighbors. Neka was by his side, her eyes red from crying. Emeka stood at the doorway, his face etched with worry. "What happened?" Chike managed to ask, his voice weak and raspy. "You fainted, Chike. Emeka found you and raised alarm," Neka explained, her voice trembling. "We called the local healer, but he can't figure out what's wrong." Then, one night, Emeka had the dream. It was vivid and unsettling. He saw Neka standing in their kitchen, a small vial in her hand. She carefully poured its contents into Chike's food, a look of determination on her face. Emeka woke up in a cold sweat, the dream feeling all too real. He couldn't ignore the dream. He woke up that night and visited Chike, his heart heavy with the weight of his suspicion. As he sat on a stool by Chike's side, he told him, no matter how unbelievable it sounded. As the days passed, the tension between Chike and Neka grew. Chike's trust in Neka was shaken, and every meal she brought him was met with suspicion. Neka, hurt and confused by Chike's sudden coldness, couldn't understand why her husband was doubting her love and care. One evening, after another silent meal, Neka finally confronted Chike. "Why are you treating me like this, Chike? What have I done to deserve this suspicion?" Chike looked at her, pain and confusion in his eyes. "Emeka told me he had a dream, Neka. He saw you poisoning my food." Neka's face fell, tears welling up in her eyes. "You believe Emeka's dream over me, your wife? I've done nothing but care for you, and this is how you repay me?" Chike's heart ached at her words, but the seed of doubt planted by Emeka's accusation was hard to ignore. "I don't know what to believe anymore, Neka. I'm scared and confused." Determined to clear her name, Neka decided to confront Emeka directly. She marched over to Emeka's hut the next day, her heart pounding with a mix of anger and desperation. "Emeka, why are you doing this to us?" Neka demanded, her voice trembling. "Why are you trying to turn Chike against me?" Emeka feigned innocence, his face a mask of concern. "Neka, I'm only looking out for Chike. I had a dream, and I can't ignore it." "Your dream is tearing us apart," Neka shot back. "I love Chike, and I would never hurt him. You need to stop this." Emeka's expression hardened. "I'm only trying to protect him, Neka. If you're innocent, you have nothing to worry about." As Neka walked back to her hut, a sense of unease settled over her. She couldn't shake the feeling that Emeka's intentions were not as pure as he claimed. That night, Chike noticed Neka's distress and felt a pang of guilt. "I'm sorry, Neka," Chike said softly. "I don't want to doubt you, but Emeka's words have been haunting me." Neka took his hand, her eyes filled with determination. "Then let's find out the truth together, Chike. We can't let this tear us apart." Chike nodded, feeling a glimmer of hope. "You're right. We'll get to the bottom of this." Late one night, after Neka had gone to bed, Chike managed to slip out of his hut, his movements slow and painful. He made his way to Emeka's hut, determined to find out more about his friend's sudden concern. Chike approached Emeka's hut cautiously, hoping to find some clue that would explain Emeka's behavior. The moonlight cast long shadows across the village, creating an eerie atmosphere. As Chike peered through the small window, he saw Emeka hunched over a table, mixing something in a small bowl. His heart pounding, Chike decided to enter Emeka's hut. He pushed the door open gently and stepped inside, careful not to make a sound. Emeka didn't notice Chike's presence, too engrossed in his task. Chike's eyes widened as he saw Emeka pour the contents of the bowl into a small vial. It was the same vial Emeka had described in his dream. Chike felt a cold shiver run down his spine as he realized the truth. "Emeka, what are you doing?" Chike's voice broke the silence, startling Emeka. Emeka spun around, his face a mask of panic. "Chike, what are you doing here?" "I should be asking you the same question," Chike said, stepping closer. "What is that?" He pointed to the vial in Emeka's hand. Emeka's eyes darted around the room, searching for an escape. "It's nothing, Chike. Just some herbs, for your health." Chike shook his head, feeling a surge of anger and betrayal. "You've been lying to me, Emeka. You've been the one poisoning me all along." Emeka's face twisted with rage and desperation. "You have everything, Chike. The successful farm, the loving wife. I have nothing. This was supposed to be my chance to finally get what I deserve. Chike's heart ached with the weight of Emeka's betrayal. You were my best friend, Emeka. How could you do this? At that moment, the door burst open, and several neighbors rushed in, having heard the commotion. They quickly restrained Emeka, taking the vial from his grasp. Nneka arrived shortly after, her eyes filled with worry. Chike, what's going on? Chike took her hand, his voice filled with emotion. It's over, Nneka. Emeka was the one poisoning me. He's been caught. Nneka's eyes widened in shock. Emeka. But why? Chike shook his head, tears welling up in his eyes. I don't know. But we are safe now. We can finally move forward and heal. As they embraced, Chike felt a sense of peace wash over him. The storm had passed, and he was ready to rebuild his life with Nneka by his side. In the days that followed, Chike and Nneka focused on healing and rebuilding their life. The villagers rallied around them, offering support and comfort. Emeka's betrayal was a heavy burden, but the love and unity of their community helped them find strength. One evening, as the sun set over the village, casting a warm, golden glow over the fields, Chike and Nneka sat outside their hut, reflecting on the events that had transpired. I'm so grateful for you, Nneka, Chike said, his voice filled with sincerity. You stood by me through everything. Thank you, Nneka, for standing by me through everything. I don't know what I would have done without you. Nneka smiled, her eyes glistening with tears. And I always will. We faced it together, Chike. And together, we'll face whatever comes next. Chike. We have each other, and that's all that matters. As they sat together, hand in hand, the village around them began to heal, just as they did. The memory of Emeka's betrayal would linger, but it would not define them. Their love, resilience, and the strength of their community would see them through. As the months passed, Chike's health improved, and the farm flourished. The bond between Chike and Nneka grew stronger, forged by the trials they had faced together. They found joy in the simple things, like sharing a meal or working side by side in the fields. And so, life in the village returned to a peaceful rhythm. The memory of Emeka's betrayal faded with time, replaced by the love and support of friends and family. Chike and Nneka's story became a testament to the power of love, forgiveness, and resilience. Their journey had been a difficult one, but it had also brought them closer together and taught them the true meaning of trust and loyalty. And as they looked out over the fields they had worked so hard to rebuild, they knew that their love would endure, no matter what the future held.